Lesson: Classifying workers correctly, employees versus independent contractors. Determining the correct classification of workers as either employees or independent contractors is crucial for HR leaders, particularly in light of international employment law and wage and hour regulations. Misclassification can lead to significant legal and financial repercussions, including penalties, back taxes, and damage to the organization's reputation. Therefore, HR leaders must equip themselves with practical tools and frameworks to accurately classify workers, ensuring compliance and operational efficiency. At the heart of worker classification is the distinction between an employee and an independent contractor. Employees typically have a more structured relationship with their employer, characterized by control over work schedules, methods, and the provision of tools and resources. Independent contractors, on the other hand, usually offer their services to multiple clients, maintain control over how their work is completed, and provide their own tools. A comprehensive framework for classifying workers is the common law test, which evaluates the degree of control the employer exerts over the worker. This test is used extensively in the United States and considers factors such as the nature of the work, the level of supervision, and the terms of the relationship. For instance, in the landmark case of Dynamex Operations West v. Superior Court of Los Angeles, the California Supreme Court adopted the ABC test for determining whether a worker is an independent contractor. This test requires that a worker is free from control, performs work outside the usual course of the hiring entity's business, and is engaged in an independently established trade. Another critical framework is the economic realities test, primarily used in the United States under federal wage and hour laws. This test assesses the economic dependence of the worker on the employer, examining factors such as the degree of integration of the worker's activities into the employer's business and the permanency of the relationship. An example illustrating this is the case of Browning Ferris Industries of California, Inc., where the National Labor Relations Board expanded the criteria for determining joint employer status, emphasizing the importance of indirect control and economic dependence. For HR leaders operating in international contexts, understanding the nuances of local laws is essential. For instance, the European Union provides guidelines through the Directive on Transparent and Predictable Working Conditions, which mandates clear terms of employment and acknowledges the unique position of gig economy workers. In the United Kingdom, the Employment Tribunal applies a multifactorial approach, considering mutuality of obligation and personal service in cases like Uber BV v. Aslam, where Uber drivers were classified as workers, entitled to minimum wage and paid leave. Practical tools for implementing these frameworks include checklists and decision trees that guide HR professionals through the classification process. For example, a worker classification checklist can prompt HR leaders to evaluate the degree of control, financial aspects, and the nature of the relationship. By systematically assessing these areas, HR professionals can make informed decisions that align with legal standards. Additionally, decision trees can aid in visualizing the classification process, providing a step-by-step guide that considers various scenarios and outcomes. Integrating these tools with real-world data is vital for enhancing their effectiveness. Conducting regular audits of worker classifications can identify potential misclassifications and preemptively address them. For instance, a company might use software solutions to track labor patterns and generate reports that highlight discrepancies between worker roles and their classification. This proactive approach not only ensures compliance, but also fosters a culture of transparency and accountability within the organization. Training and ongoing education for HR professionals are crucial in maintaining up-to-date knowledge of classification criteria and legal developments. Workshops, webinars, and certification programs, such as the International Certification in Employment Law for HR Leaders, provide valuable opportunities for HR leaders to deepen their understanding and refine their skills. By engaging with these resources, HR professionals can stay informed about best practices and emerging trends, further enhancing their ability to navigate complex classification issues. The financial and reputational risks associated with misclassification underscore the importance of accurate worker classification. Companies that fail to classify workers correctly may face substantial fines, legal fees, and back payments, as evidenced by cases such as FedEx Ground Package System, Inc., where the company was required to pay millions in settlements for misclassifying drivers as independent contractors. Beyond financial implications, misclassification can damage employee morale and lead to a loss of trust, affecting overall organizational performance. HR leaders must also consider the strategic implications of worker classification. In the gig economy, for example, the flexibility offered by independent contractor arrangements can be a competitive advantage. However, this must be balanced with compliance and ethical considerations. Striking the right balance requires a nuanced understanding of both the legal frameworks and the organization's strategic goals. By aligning worker classification with business objectives, HR leaders can foster a workforce that is both compliant and agile, driving innovation and growth. In conclusion, correctly classifying workers as employees or independent contractors is a complex yet essential task for HR leaders. By leveraging frameworks such as the Common Law Test, Economic Realities Test, and region-specific guidelines, HR professionals can make informed decisions that ensure compliance and support organizational objectives. Practical tools like checklists, decision trees, and software solutions, combined with regular audits and continuous education, provide actionable insights that enhance proficiency in worker classification. Ultimately, the ability to classify workers correctly not only mitigates legal and financial risks, but also contributes to a more dynamic and resilient workforce, positioning the organization for long-term success.